Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this session with Nithya Shanti. My name is Vishwavir Singh. I am a journalist with a background in wellness, and I'd like to introduce Nithya Shanti, who is going to today talk about unburdening and how we as people need to learn this concept in order to move forward. Before taking more time, I'd like to hand over the platform to Nithya. Nithya, please start and enlighten us with your knowledge and words.
All right, lovely to be here. Vishwavir, thank you for inviting me here. And good to be here with all of you. Today's session is on the art of unburdening. So there's an assumption that you're burdened. And how can we train ourselves so that, the lotus leaf, the water that falls on the lotus leaf just slips off, doesn't accumulate, doesn't stagnate. What is that kind of mind? What is that kind of heart? What is that kind of attitude? What is that kind of orientation of being that these things can just slip off? I'm not here to give concepts. I'm here to spark an experience, to create a kind of activation. I think this is a world of information overload. So it wouldn't bother me if you did today's session and never practiced anything you learned here. Because that's what happens too often. You learn, you promise to practice, you don't practice. So that's all right. But practice deeply now, whatever we're sharing, whatever we're going through. Go through it with me wholeheartedly. And let the alchemy happen right here. Very often, I conduct these retreats all over the world. And very often someone will say, Nithya, this is all great. People here are great. The food here is great. The environment here is great. The teachings here are great. But I'm really worried about when I go home. It's not the same. It's difficult. Things there are difficult. There's a lot of responsibility, a lot of duties, a lot of things demanding my attention. And it's hard to practice these things when I'm back home. And my invitation to them is that what you're calling the real world, when I go back home, that's the real world. This is an artificial world. This is actually not true. This moment is the real world. Or at least it's closer to the real world. And what about going home? That would be your imagination. And there's no guarantee, as we know, that you live long enough to go home. So my invitation to them is practice now. We'll see about tomorrow. We'll see about what happens when you get home. Practice wholeheartedly now. And a certain alchemy happens. And that becomes your refuge. More than teachings, more than concepts. There was a group of people who came from the UK to my teacher's monastery. I used to be a monk for some years. And my teacher's monastery, Wat Nong Papong, in northeast Thailand. They'd come and they had spent about 3 months practicing. It's called Varshavas, the rains retreat. They had spent 3 months doing intensive practice. And now the rains retreat is over and it's time for them to leave. So they came to my teacher's hut and they bowed down to him and they said that we're so grateful for this opportunity. We had 3 beautiful months here. And now we're going back and we're wondering how we should continue our practice. What would you recommend? Because it's a busy life. Back in the UK, it's a busy life. How should we practice? So Ajahn Chah was my teacher. The word Ajahn means Acharya. So that's the Thai way of saying Acharya. So Ajahn Chah said, he kind of smiled and he said, when you think of practice, you think of sitting meditation, you think of walking meditation, you think of chanting, you think of reading scriptures. He said, but that's not practice. That's preparation. The real practice happens in the moment when unwanted things happen. The real practice happens in the moment where wanted things do not happen. That's where the practice happens. Everything else is preparation. So you coming for this session is preparation. And the more deeply you attend to what's being said here and practice what I'm taking you through, you'll find that to some extent, it becomes a part of you. And it's available to you. And it's always, I would say it's a bit of a mystery what stays and what doesn't. who you meet, what they say, what part of what they say stays with you. And in a way, this is life waking itself up. All right, so let's continue. Just inviting whatever is most beneficial for myself and for each one of you. Let that come through in today's session. Whatever is most helpful. Each one of us is in a slightly different place in life. And yet it's not like the causes of our suffering are that diverse. It usually comes down to simple things. Resistance causes suffering. Grasping causes suffering. Judgment causes suffering. Strong preferences cause suffering. Identity, the sense of who I think I am, who I think I was, who I think I am, who I think I should be. The stickiness around our identity causes suffering. So let's start with a beautiful teaching from Trika. Trika is what the British came, they called it the philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism, which the philosophy itself refers to itself as Trika, which is, you could say, a non-dual form of Shaivism. And there's a very powerful teaching from that. I want to start the session with that. It's called the 6 limitations. So in this philosophy, the idea is that everything is Shiva. Shiva is the ultimate reality. It doesn't matter if you're Hindu or not. It's pure consciousness. Right? So everything is Shiva. Everything is pure consciousness. And it has taken on this diversity of forms. It's like a gigantic mirror has broken and every splinter is reflecting something different. So Shiva has taken on a lot of forms. And Shiva in his most expanded state is simultaneously in his most contracted state. And what does it mean? When Shiva is expanded into the diversity of this world, with birds and bees and trees and humans and 1,000 thoughts that humans have, and a million other things, and colors and scents and smells and tastes. Then in that most expanded form, Shiva has maximally forgotten himself. And there are 6 ways, 6 specific ways in which Shiva forgets. So the art of unburdening requires us to become aware of what are the 6 ways that we have limited ourselves. What are the 6 ways in which we have wound ourselves up, 6 assumptions we've taken on. So let me guide you through these 6 one by one. As you become aware of them, you have the option of stepping back from them, stepping away from them. So the first limitation is the limitation of time. So now all the different ways in which you're limited by time, like age, how old you think you are, how much time you think has gone, and how much time you assume remains. Time of the day. Is it morning, afternoon, evening? Time for the session. How much time is gone? How much time remains in the session? Do we have enough time to cover the important teachings? Limitation of time. What's happened, what's not happened, what needs to happen. Some people at 20, a friend of mine told me, his friend, young, early 20s, he's already feeling that life has passed him by, that he's not doing enough with his life. Even at 20, he feels that he's missed the opportunity, he's missed the bus. So the limitation of time, all the ways, so you can have your eyes open or closed, but I want you to dip in and check what are all the ways that you have become oppressed by time. You have become bound by time. You have become limited by time. You have become confined by time. That time has become a hindrance. And there's a sense of time is running out. There's never enough time. So much to do and never enough time. Is that your mantra? So much to do, never enough time. That means you have been bitten, that you have been stung by the limitation of time. So go ahead and feel that. Acknowledge the burden that living in time, confined by time, hindered by time, obstructed by time, all the ways that is a burden around your metaphorical neck. And in this moment, I just invite you to step clean away from that. So let's just say that there is no limitation of time. Who are you without that story? In my own case, I feel a sense of settling. I feel a sense of expansiveness. I feel like there was a burden I was carrying that I didn't even know I was carrying, and it just slipped off my shoulders. Also, the limitation of time makes you assume that you are in a particular epoch, a particular century, a particular year, a particular month, a particular date, a particular time of that particular day. And therefore, the limitation is I'm only in this time, I'm not in all time. And how can you prove that apart from your sensory experience, which we know well is not that reliable? Our sensory experience is not completely reliable. So who are you without the limitation of time? Suppose you are detached from the sense that I'm only now, and I'm not then and not there. What's it like to let your spirit, your soul expand into the sense of unlimited by time, uncontained, unconstrained, unbound, unfettered, unhindered? And let that keep on settling. The second limitation that Shiva takes on is a limitation of space, limitation of location. Where do you think you are? This country or that country? This city or that city? This town or that town? This house or that house? This part of the house or that part of the house? Lower part of the body, upper part of the body? Right brain or left brain? What are all the ways in which you limit yourself by location, by space? I'm here and I'm not there. So by definition, if I'm in this place, then I cannot be in any other place. You have been stung by the limitation of space. Shiva has chosen to forget how he is not in space, space appears to him. It's the other way around. What's it like to not be confined by time and location, time and space? This may be hard for the mind to understand, but that's all right. The mind, even the basic things, mind struggles to understand. So we're not worried about the mind understanding this. It's going to take a leap, an experiential leap. What if I am in all time and I am in all space, even if my sensory experience does not agree with that? What's it like to become aware of the third limitation, the limitation of attachment? All the ways in which you're attached to ideas, attached to people, attached to places, attached to things, attached to smells and tastes, and colors and sights and sounds and music, and all the different ways in which we're attached. Attached to the idea that it's hard to let go of attachments. Attached to the identity that I'm like this. I am attached. So Shiva has taken on the third limitation, the limitation of attachment. I can't do without this person. I can't do without this thing. Is that really true? And just for a few moments, would you be willing to just step away, to just put down this assumption that you're limited by your attachments? We're not denying that they are attachment. We're just saying that you're not limited by them. They may be attachments. How peculiar that you have these particular attachments. Your brother and sister had another attached set of attachments. Your parents, your friends. How peculiar you have these particular attachments. Did you really choose them? I think it's worth being curious about. So what's it like to step away from the limitation of attachment, the self-imposed limitation of attachment? And I'll even go so far as to say, I need food, I need water, I need air, I need safety. Oh, really? Isn't that because you assume that you're a body and mind? And let's come on to the fourth form of limitation. As we relax our limitation around time, limitation around space or location, limitation around attachment, the fourth limitation of knowledge. What I think I know and what I think I don't know. So who are you without the assumption that you definitely know certain things, you definitely don't know certain things? Even the things you claim to know, do you really know them? And even the things you claim to not know, is it really true that you have no access to them? Who are you without this story, this assumption that you are of limited knowledge? Just as a mind game, thought experiment. Suppose you relax the idea, release the idea that you're limited by knowledge. It's an experiential process. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. Just step into this fire. Step into this sacred fire, which purifies you of all these unquestioned beliefs. Surrounded by those who think like this, believe like this, behave like this, you too have taken this on without even realizing you've taken this on. Could today, now, this, here, be that moment of reckoning where the mirror is shown to you and you realize, wow, I'm not limited by time. I'm not limited by space. I'm not limited by attachment. I'm not limited by knowledge. Wow, what a relief to know that. What a deep, deep relief. What a sweet relief to know that. Exceptional. The fifth attachment, the fifth limitation, the limitation of skill. What I think I can do and what I think I can't do. I can speak in English, I can't speak in Mandarin. I can ride a motorcycle, I don't know how to drive a car. I can do the laundry, but I don't know how to cook food. All these ideas we have of what we can and cannot do. What's it like to hold that lightly, not tightly? Who are you without the strong assumption of what you can and cannot do? Can you see how that also keeps you locked into a particular personality? Nothing wrong with personality. Like nothing wrong with a small room. There's no fun being locked in the small room. No fun being locked in that personality at all times. So who are you without the limitation of skill? Would you allow yourself a glimpse of what it's like to be completely unlimited nothing that you cannot know, there's nothing that you cannot do, even if that is not your immediate experience. Coming to the last limitation, the limitation of individuality. All the ways in which you've convinced yourself you are this and not that. You are here and not there. All the ways in which you identify yourself as a gender, as a height, as a nationality. All the ways in which you see yourself as an individual, separate from others and the rest of existence. Self-disconnected from self, self-disconnected from other, self-disconnected from life. This triple disconnect, which creates a sense of individuality, the most stubborn of all the limitations. The root limitation, actually. Who are you, even for a few micro moments, without the assumption that you are separate? Could you allow yourself a taste of that? All six simultaneously. Who are you without the limitation of time, without the limitation of location or space, without the limitation of attachment, without the limitation of knowledge, without the limitation of skill, without the limitation of separation, individuality. Simultaneously, all six. Can you give yourself a taste of that? A tasteless taste of your real essence right now? You're completely safe. You can drop even deeper into this. Allow yourself to drop even deeper into this. Go ahead. Whenever you're feeling complete, take a few deep breaths. And having had a glimpse or a tasteless taste of your true nature, nice deep breath. Rub your palms together, make them nice and warm. Bring them over your eyes. Beautiful. Well done, everybody. Well done. So while there are many tools and techniques and processes and principles around the art of unburdening, the real thing is the tasteless taste. When I was 16 years old, I went for a meditation course, and it was grueling. It was very difficult. My legs hurt, my back hurt, my mind wandered. But somewhere in that course, I had a taste. I had a taste of something I never tasted before. It was the taste of being, the taste of non-resistance, taste of non-comparison. It was not me looking out of the world. It was the world experiencing itself. And to the extent one has a kind of taste like that, it fundamentally reorients the direction of this life. Sabba rasang dhamma rasang janati, the Buddha says. Of all the tastes in the world, the taste of truth beats them all. There are many tastes in this world. Traveling is a taste. Love is a taste. Contribution is a taste. Accomplishment is a taste. But the taste of truth, nothing beats that taste. So those who've tasted the taste of truth, or rather the truth has tasted itself, then sabba rasan, dhamma rasan janati, the taste of truth beats them all. And you're pretty much left with no choice. A process begins. In some cases, it's a difficult, painful process. If you resist it, it's a difficult, painful process. If you welcome it, it's less painful. But it's always challenging, and that's all right. Where there's the transformation from being a ball of glue to being a ball of wool. What do I mean? What do I mean by a ball of glue? When a ball of glue rolls on the floor, it picks up all the dirt, including microscopic dirt. And of course, if it rolls over something quite dirty, it's going to pick up all that, right? Ball of glue is constantly picking up stuff. Ball of wool, wherever it rolls, it gets lighter and smaller. The ball of glue gets heavier and dirtier and messier. The ball of wool gets smaller and smaller, lighter and lighter, until something fascinating happens. The ball disappears and only wool remains. There was never a ball. It was just wool. And that's the principle of the art of unburdening. If you begin to get a sense of what it's like to not cling on so tight in a variety of different ways. The stickiness in the ball of glue is the stickiness of identity. There's a nice word in Tibetan, shenpa. Shenpa means sticky. And as you go through your day, you'll realize certain things are more sticky than others. Someone says something, it's fine, not a big deal. Someone criticizes you, oh, they said that. How can they say that? And it's stuck. It's stuck for a few hours, maybe a few days. And some things are very sticky. Someone says something once or does something once, and the effects of it last for years and years and years. Either pleasant or unpleasant, doesn't matter. Even pleasant things have their own stickiness. Oh, when I was young, we had such a nice time with the family. We don't do that anymore. Nostalgia. So stickiness is Shenpa. And the opposite of Shenpa is sky-like, open awareness, sky-like awareness called Rigpa. Sky-like awareness. Nothing sticks. Clouds come and go, birds come and go, planes come and go, smoke comes and goes. Nothing sticks. There's a part of you that is already the sky. That's not something you have to cultivate and become. You are that. And there's a part of you that's sticky. So the more you're coming from the sense of identification and the 6 limitations, of course, you will be a ball of glue. And the more you're coming from the recognition of your sky-like nature, Rigpa nature, of course, you will be like a ball of wool. It's not that you'll not have challenges. My friend gave me a lovely Sanskrit phrase from Adi Shankara yesterday. Prarabdhaya samarpitam. What a beautiful phrase. Prarabdhaya. Whatever remaining momentum is there of this body and mind, whatever remaining momentum is there, karmic momentum is there, let it spin. Let the remaining ball in this wool go ahead and elaborate itself, empty itself. Prarabdhaya samarpitam means I surrender. I surrender. So I surrender whatever remaining momentum is there, this body, this mind, I surrender that. Amor fati, say the Greeks. Actually a Latin word, but it comes from the Stoics. Amor fati, love your fate. What happens if you love your fate? What if you go from being paranoid to the word someone invented, pronoia, from paranoia to pronoia. Paranoia is the whole world is conspiring against me. Pronoia is the whole world is conspiring on my behalf. Life is not vindictive, it's corrective. Life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. What does it mean it's happening for me? It's happening for my awakening. So think of this world as a very advanced puzzle that you have set up for yourself. A very advanced prison that is made of nothing but keys. Every part of the prison is a key out of the prison. So it's a game of hide and seek. That's the way I see it. It's a game of hide and seek. And every person, every experience, nothing's out of place. Everything's happening exactly the way it should. Of course, your mind and your ego will not agree with that. But they know, what are you talking about? Can't be. But sooner or later, the wisdom will dawn. Everything's happening exactly the way it is and exactly the way it should. Not always pleasant. And it's designed for breaking the eggshell and tearing the cocoon from which you have to emerge into your true resplendent nature, your true resplendent self. To begin with, I invite you to take on simple practices like sending blessings to the lovely teaching from the ancient Greeks that wholeness has got 3 components: true, good, and beautiful. So as you go through life, and in this moment as well, appreciate all that's true, all that's good, and all that's beautiful. In India, this is called Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Appreciate, that's gratitude. Appreciate all that's already true, good, and beautiful. And whatever to you does not seem as there's no truth there, there's no goodness there, there's no beauty there, at least from my eyes, there's nothing. All right, bless it. So either be grateful or be in a state of blessings. Prarabdhaya samarpitam. This is how you will be in a state of elegance and flow and grace and surrender. And you will be a bright and transparent channel for this adjustment where limitations keep falling off. Wherever you go, whether you try to be a teacher or not, you don't have to be a spiritual teacher. You can just be yourself. You could be in a business meeting. You could be with other parents. You could be on the beach. You could be anywhere. And your being will be like a lighthouse, will be like a sun of source essence, reminding and awakening, bringing everyone back to their true nature. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat is true. Chit is conscious of. Ananda is bliss. Sat is I exist. I am. I don't need anybody to validate that I am. I am. Everything that comes after I am is debatable. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm articulate or not. This is all debatable. There'll always be someone better or worse than you. But I am, just I am, the pure I am. This is why we meditate. We meditate to not only intellectually think about this, but to be, to get in touch, the simple feeling of being, to connect with that simple feeling of being. I am. And that is Sat. And of course, that's always there, but are you conscious of it? To be conscious of being is Chit, conscious. Otherwise, you're lost in the illusion. You're lost in the hypnotic trance of who we think we are and who we think we should be and what they think I am and I think I am and who's right and who's wrong. But I am that I am. Tattvam Asi. And there's bliss. And the bliss is not an emotion. The bliss is any experience experienced fully is bliss. Your depression experienced fully is absolute. Depression, two ways of reading out depression. Depressed, deeply pressed, so hard to get out of bed. Or deep rest. Deep rest. Your soul is asking for deep rest. For too long, you were lost in manifestation. And the soul said, enough now. I'm pulling off all the energy. Deep rest. Take some deep rest. If you experience it fully, that becomes your bliss. Anger, wrathful energy. You have in the Indian tradition, all the deities are not peaceful. You also have wrathful deities. Sometimes Shiva throw the tantrum, sometimes Vishnu throw the tantrum. They're also wrathful. And that's divine anger. Because it's not coming from a person, it's coming as an expression. It's like a thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is not, upset. It just is. That's its nature, right? It creates a powerful adjustment. So any state that this body-mind goes through, experienced fully, is a state of no residue, is a state of no karma. It's a state where everything is burning in the fire of awareness, the fire of clarity, the fire of consciousness. And that is the full blossoming of this unburdening process. So for those of you who are just starting off and you're hearing these kinds of things for the first time, start with simple things. Start with simple things like gratitude. Start your day with gratitude. End your day with gratitude. Challenge yourself to reflect. No matter what happens, what's there to learn in it? No matter what happens, what's there to love in it? Always something to love in it. No matter what happens, what's there to let go? Let go, let go. No matter what happens, what's there to laugh about? Always something to laugh about. And like this, you develop your capacity to be masterful with your perception. You're not locked into perceptions that you've been conditioned to perceive things a certain way. You can perceive things in creative ways. And you can know it's just a perception. No perception is ultimately true. It's just a perception. Holding it lightly, not lightly. And you can explore teachings like there's a wonderful Hawaiian teaching called Oponopono, which says that the outer world is the perfect reflection of my inner world. Whatever's going on in your life, it's a perfect reflection of your inner assumptions and beliefs. I like how one of the teachers says, Neville Goddard says, everyone is me pushed out. Everyone and everything is me pushed out. All the parts of me I've not owned, I've pushed it out to create this world. It's a part of radical responsibility, 100% responsibility. So how do you heal a world that is a reflection of my inner world? You say things like, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and I thank you. I'm sorry. Sorry for what? Sorry for believing a poor quality perception, poor quality thought. Please forgive me. Forgive me from acting from one of the 6 limitations. I love you, which means I see all of you. I see the Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram in you. The true good and the beautiful in you. If I don't see it yet, I bless it. And I thank you. I thank you. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Nothing but gratitude. The fact that you've come for this talk. You thought you came for this talk? I'm sorry. Life selected. Not everyone comes to a talk like this. Not everyone stays on till the end of the talk like this. Not everyone can resonate. It takes something. It takes a certain maturity to even linger for this long. So you did not select, life selected. And there is certain medicine that is coming through. Good. So, given you a small taste of something which I would love for you to explore in your own way. Like I said, you don't have to practice anything I've said. The alchemy that has to happen has either happened or it's not happened. It's perfectly all right either way. Let me hand it back to Vishwaveer.
Thank you for that very enlightening talk, Nithya. I think it changed all our energies, and the exercises that you made us all do truly brought in a new feeling, a feeling of unburdenedness, a feeling of freedom. Just to take our viewers through, Nithya is a spiritual teacher and a management graduate from XLRI. He spends his time changing people's lives for the better and helping them with their pains. Nithya, just to get into our Q&A, I want to ask you, you were a monk as well yourself. Um, what was that experience like for you? Do you yourself feel unburdened now? And what was the journey you went through to reaching there, if so?
Yeah, I lived as a monk. Monk is just an opportunity. It's not a identity of any kind. I lived as a monk. Training of a monk is unburdening. Sometimes our teacher would walk around the monastery. He'd ask a very funny question. It's funny now, but back then it didn't always sound funny. He would ask people, how are you suffering today? And some of the monks say, yeah, actually, I'm suffering today. And he always said the same thing. You must be holding on to something. You must be holding on to something. One of his famous quotes was, when you let go a little bit, you have a little bit of peace. Let go a lot of peace. Let go completely. You have complete peace. Nothing bothers you anymore. So the more you're holding on, but you see, you can't just do this by, it's not like an affirmation, oh, let go, let go, let go. It has to come from clarity. It has to come through wisdom and insight. You have to recognize how, oh, this body and mind are spontaneously arising. Seeing is happening by itself, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. If you ate something earlier in the day, digestion is happening by itself. Sensory experiences are getting processed in the brain in the form of thoughts. How much of what you are deciding, what you think you want, is really what you want? How much of it is conditioned by your gender, by your culture, by the place you live, by the milieu that you're in? And so like you start asking these kind of questions, and suddenly you start opening up, oh, wow, fascinating. Right? So my journey as a monk was an opportunity to dive deep into questions like this. And I don't like to claim things like I'm unburdened or I'm burdened or unburdened. It's okay. In whatever moment, there are the 6 limitations, and to that extent, I will be burdened. It's just simple, right? And to the extent I can step away from them, to that extent, one is unburdened. But the sun keeps shining anyway. The sun is shining irrespective of how many clouds come and go. The sky is open and free. So what I want to offer to everyone today is, no matter how confined you feel, no matter how imprisoned you feel in your habits, in your beliefs, I want you to know that this prison, the door has always been open. The door has always been open. And you can convince yourself that, oh, Nithya has been going on for too long. I've tried everything. I've tried this course and this teacher and that teacher. It's like you're trying to tell me, Nithya, because for the last 30 years, this room was dark. Putting on a light will take another 30 years, right? At least 25 years it will take. And I'm here to say no. It could be dark for 1,000,000 years. When you put on the light, the room is instantaneously lit up. You could have had a misunderstanding for the longest time. So the thing that we've discussed today, for those who are ready and ripe and receptive, they will be like that light. Somewhere the light will come on. It's so funny for me to hear things like, after we've done this talk, and you say, Nithya, you're a spiritual teacher, you're changing lives, you've been a MBA graduate, and it just seems so foreign to hear that. And of course, we say those things, and that's fine. But isn't it so strange to hear that? Like, no, that's just a small, little, tiny, microscopic part of me. But it's fine. That's the game we play. But it's important to know it's a game that we play. Otherwise, we get hooked up in that. We get caught up in the identity of being a this or a that. Like, if I define myself as a person who's changing lives, I'm going to be so disappointed when people come and say, Nithya, nothing happened. I've been with you for 10 years. No life has changed. So I don't set myself up for that kind of failure. I'm just here. I like the way Alan Watts said, that I'm just here to entertain you. And he didn't try to set up any big goal of changing life. First of all, how can I assume it's a good idea to change your life? That would be very, very arrogant of me, very presumptuous of me to assume that I know how your life should change. First of all, in this call, I can't even see anybody. So all I'm seeing is you, Vishwaveer. And you seem okay to me. I don't know if I want to change you. So it's nice to hold all that lightly. Then life is not so much of a burden anymore.
So, Nithya, going back to the first part of your conversation, you spoke to us about, letting go of time, space, and attachment. How does one love without attachment?
It's a process of recognizing. See, the self-reflective element will come in, and you will see the reason I spent much of today's call on experiential tastes. And of course, everybody would have this. Some people would struggle with what I took them through, very unfamiliar. But even if they had the tiniest taste of it, they will start getting a context that, there is a kind of being that is free. Like Thich Nhat Hanh said, you can love in a way that binds, or you can love in a way that frees. We often interchange words like attachment and love, but in my world, it's two opposite things. Attachment is stickiness, and love is non-stickiness. It's freedom. And in fact, I want to read out to you, just yesterday in a call of mine, someone shared a very powerful quote by the mother. You might have heard of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. So it goes like this. At first, one loves only when one is loved. Right? We're all familiar with that. I love you because you love me. At first, one loves only when one is loved. Next, one loves spontaneously, but wants to be loved in return. So I didn't wait for you to love me. I went ahead and loved you anyway. But come on, I'd like to have some love back. Look at how much I'm doing for you. Look at how much I'm caring for you. Look at how much I'm expressing to you. Number 3, further on, one loves even if one is not loved, but one still wants one's love to be accepted. All right, you don't love me back, but at least accept my love. It's such a beautiful gift I'm giving you. How can you just deny that gift? So level 1 is I love you when you love me back. Level 2 is I love first, but I'd like to be loved in return. Level 3 is where I will love even if I'm not loved back, but I'd like my love, my beautiful gift, to be at least respected and accepted and received. And number 4 is, and finally, one loves purely and simply without any other need or joy other than that of loving. So love is love in itself. So this is what we're trying to get to. We're getting from a more, you could say, mixed up idea of love to a more purified idea of love. And it's a process, right? So we will go through, we will stumble. In some cases, we'll stumble for lifetimes. And if you're a little bit more mature, it'll take you a few years. We'll all go through that process. And the way I visualize it is like in the beginning, I'm beaming love, like from my heart. I'm sending a beam of love from my heart to your heart. And then secondly, I'm not only beaming love, I'm surrounding the other person or the group of people with love, like a bubble of love. And level 3 is I'm suffusing. It's like that bubble has now been filled up with this love energy. So it's suffusing, permeating, saturating with love. And level 4 is there's nothing but love. So we can even visualize, we can visually imagine a beautiful light coming out from your heart, touching the heart of everyone in your family, everyone in your workplace, everyone in the world. It's a beam of love. You surround with love and you suffuse with love, and then there's nothing but love. So this will progress, and then not only that, it will then expand exponentially across time and space and all dimensions to include all as a reflection of you. Because you, like I said earlier, everyone is me pushed out. When that recognition comes, it's all me actually. Like you shift from imagining yourself as a wave to recognizing yourself as the ocean. Then it's not like, hey, these are my favorite waves, and I don't like those waves, and that wave's too big, and that wave's too dark. And no, you love all the waves, because they're all part of you. And you wish well for everybody. At the same time, we should also balance. I don't want to get too universal here, because we also have to balance our humanity. I like this quote by Osho. He says, I love everyone, but I like only a few. And this is the reason that I love this Kashmir Shaivism Trika philosophy, because there is Shiva, which is consciousness. There is Shakti, which is manifestation. And then there is the Nara, the sense of me, the sense of beingness, the divine child of father and mother. Consciousness and energy merge to create this experience of Nithya Shanti, the interface between emptiness and everythingness. That interface is me. In fact, in this moment, Vishwaveer, in this moment, when I look outside, I see multiplicity of colors and shapes and sounds and experiences and smells. But on the other side, I can't even describe it. I won't even call it darkness. On the other side, behind my head, I can look at the reflection behind my head, but that's not my experience. That's a reflection. Right? In my actual experience, It's got no taste, it's got no smell, it's got no smell, it's got no form, it's got no attributes. No attributes apply, not even darkness applies. The interface between Shiva and Shakti, that is the Nara, that is the individual. And we also need to honor the individuated self. So honor self, honor other, welcome everything. Because all of it is good medicine. All of it is designed for our spectacular, one of a kind, never before happened enlightenment, awakening, life awakening to itself. You're like nerve endings, as Alan Watts said, you're like nerve endings of the universe, exploring and experiencing itself. It's a journey of both self-realization and self-actualization. Self-realization is discovering who you really are, and self-actualization is opening up your settings, opening up all the hidden possibilities and potentials that you've come into this world with.
Great. As we wrap up, I'd like to ask one last question, Nithya. For novices, people who've not gone into a spiritual journey, people who are just perhaps listening to this school of philosophy for the first time in their lives, if they wanted to truly unburden themselves, what would be the practices that you would advise them or ask to follow?
So I would first unburden them of the assumption that they're novices. The moment you make yourself a novice, now you put yourself on a very long journey. So begin with end in mind. Whatever your ultimate goal is, who are you most inspired by? Guru Nanak, Buddha, Socrates, Steve Jobs? Who are you most inspired by? Someone very beautiful, someone very handsome, someone very strong, or something very strong like a mountain or a tree or a sun? Or what is it that you look and say, wow, that's so beautiful. That is the essence of beauty, goodness, and truth. Then let that be the beginning point. Make the goal the beginning point. There's a lovely Zen teaching. First get enlightened, then deal with your karmas. Normally we say, I will work out my karma, then I get enlightened. Zen says, get enlightened first. What does it mean to get enlightened first? It means exactly what we did today. Dehypnotize yourself from these 6 limitations. Even for a micro moment, dehypnotize yourself from the assumption, and it is an assumption, that you're limited by time, limited by location, limited by attachment, limited by knowledge, limited by skill, limited by individuality. Start there. Begin with end in mind. Whatever your goal is, make that the path. And I feel if in today's practice, if anyone had a taste, even a microscopic taste of what we are talking about, more than what I say, that will have an intelligence of its own. The Buddha says this path is Oponopono. It draws you inward. It draws you inward and it draws you onward. So you'll automatically now be drawn to these kinds of books, these kinds of teachers, these kinds of teachings. If it's meant to be, it's not for everybody, at least not at this time. And you'll be drawn to inner silence, inner stability, an inner reflective attitude, a non-prejudice, a non-stereotype, a non-fixation, a flexibility, a fluidity of consciousnness. And this will become a priority, like it did in my life. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I had no interest in doing any of this. But I was, life picked me for this. And some level I answered the call. And it's taken me on this wild ride. Don't assume you're a novice. Even if you lasted in this call this long, novices can't last this long. It takes a certain affinity. It takes a certain prior grace and blessing for you to even want to listen to something like this. So trust that.
Thank you. Just before we wrap up, I think we have a few minutes left. Nithya, could you tell us a little bit about or advise those of us who want to say or ask you what's ahead, what lies ahead, what is the future, the angst of the future?
Is there an angst? You feel an angst?
I think uncertainty towards the future sometimes has caused a lot of anxiety and pain in people.
In my experience, the angst comes when we haven't dealt with our past, because none of us have seen the future. We're only projecting the past. Something we read, something we heard, something we experienced, someone treated us a certain way, we treated others a certain way. And that became an imprint of a half-lived experience. And half-lived experience are like ghosts. They keep coming back. They want to be fully lived. And now this becomes your worry, this becomes your anxiety. So the answer to that is a radical gratitude, a radical acceptance, a radical surrender. Every single thing that ever happened in your life, unless you make peace with that, there is no magic pill I can ever give you. Even though temporarily it may make you feel better, there is no magic pill. Until you deal with the minefield of your past, you're simply replicating that minefield into your future. All the stuff you haven't dealt with is going to come up again and again and again. You know this. In relationships, we repeat stuff. In jobs, we repeat stuff. In every aspect of our life, we repeat stuff over and over and over again because we haven't got the full experience of it. Why? Because we lived it half-heartedly. We didn't live it fully. So meraki, this lovely Greek word, meraki means to pour yourself. So as I gave this talk today, to the extent I poured myself into this talk, I poured all of myself, all my love, all my knowledge, all my understanding, all my wisdom, all my insight. I poured myself into this. To that extent, there's no residue. To that extent, I'll not look back and say, oh, I wish I'd said that. I wish I'd given that example. I wish I'd done that. There'll be nothing. There's no residue. And to that extent, I'm neither looking forward nor afraid of the next talk. I'm not hoping, oh, the next talk should be better or worse. It's just when it comes, it comes. My teacher told me something very beautiful. He said, Nithya, don't prepare your content. Prepare your intent. Prepare your consciousness. So how's that for dealing with the future? Don't prepare the content. Don't just stock up your home. Don't just stock up your bank. Prepare your intent. Prepare your consciousness. You'll be ready for whatever comes up. You're the favorite child of the universe. There is nobody else in this world who is an interface of Shiva and Shakti as directly as you are. And that's not a small thing. You're not a face in the world. You're a space for the world. The whole world presents itself to you every moment. The convergence of every single star in galaxy, every single human being, every single news article, every single book, everything converges somewhere. And that somewhere is what you call yourself. So now what is that yourself? What is that yourself that is afraid of an uncertain future? It's afraid of the future because it's coming from history. When you realize that you yourself are a mystery, then why would you be afraid of the future mystery? Mystery meeting the mystery, right? This is a mystery meeting the mystery. Only when you assume you're a history, then you're afraid of the mystery. Because you're afraid, oh, what if that repeats itself? Or what if that doesn't happen? Or what if that does happen? Or what if I live an unfulfilled life? This is all coming from history. So ask yourself, who's taking delivery of the experience? And like that, you shift from history to mystery, from persona to presence. You taste your essence, and the essence knows exactly what to do. No overthinking is required, and you have a wonderful adventure of a life.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Nithya. And I think with that, it's a wrap. I'd like to thank everybody else who joined us on this extremely enlightening talk, and bid you all beautiful life's journey and one which is hopefully unburdened. Thank you for
Thank you.
giving us your time. Thank you.
Coming on board with Rejuvenate and the Positivity Project was a no-brainer for me. My name is Monisha Sakrani, and I'm the co-founder of a New Delhi-based initiative called the Angels Network. I've had a working relationship with Sangeeta Singh for the last few years, and our visions have always been aligned. We have quietly and publicly contributed to each other's projects since we've known each other. And when she came up with Rejuvenate, my heart instantly said yes. Personally, I was on board in an instant. And then I realized that the Angels Network true commitment is to creating greater good and joy in the world. And hence, we could come on board as a team too. I know without a shadow of a doubt that this event is going to open the minds, the hearts, and the doors of everyone who connects with it. Each speaker will connect with a different soul, and together, like a beautifully crafted jigsaw puzzle, we will be able to contribute and create a greater consciousness together. The planet and its people need a dose of positivity and awareness right now, more than ever, and I feel privileged to be able to be a part of this project. I look forward to the ripples and the waves of love and positivity it creates. Let's rejuvenate together.